So this is Revorec Recruitment Solutions. My name is Seb. We do weekly videos. Scrap that, we don't do weekly videos anymore. We do as regular as we can videos. We do regular videos on the subjects of management and leadership, business and recruitment. Now you might have noticed we haven't done a video for a little while. Reason being we've actually moved into new offices. Yes, this is our old office. We've got a couple of offices now, but in the process of setting up a new office, expanding, hiring, it's been difficult to find time to do another video. We've been really busy. So I don't know if I can do them on a weekly basis. We'll try them as regular as possible, but they probably will be a little bit infrequent for the meantime. So apologies for that. So I wanted to do a video today on coronavirus, but principally how it will affect employees. I saw a lot of information, or I see a lot of information online about coronavirus, the impact it will have on health, what it does as a virus, the spread of it, pandemic, etc. But I didn't see tons and tons of information on how it's going to affect employees. So I'm an employee. How is it going to affect me? What am I going to be expecting over the coming weeks? How's it going to affect my job, my livelihood, overtime bonus, stuff like that? Can I work? Will I not be out of work? What are my employers going to do, etc.? Several questions that I'm thinking of that people are going to want to know, that I wanted answers for, and I want to share with you guys today. That's the purpose of today's video, basically. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click the like button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any one of our forthcoming videos. I've got several questions written up that I want to go through. Excuse the messy sheet. First question, should I be working from home to protect myself from coronavirus? So to answer that question, it really depends on whether you can or cannot work from home in your particular type of job. There is a lot of media online, and I don't know if you see LinkedIn, stuff like that, where a load of people talk about, well, this is finally the opportunity for companies to move into the 21st century. Staff should work from home now. This is, the way things are going. People should get used to it. Finally, companies should trust their staff to work from home. We're in a fortunate position as a business where we're basically all cloud-based. We could be completely remote if we need to. We don't need offices. The reason why we have offices is working from home, having worked at home myself, is quite lonely, and I quite like banter, I quite like the environment, I quite like getting involved with other people. So working from home can be quite isolating. So it is for some people, it isn't for other people. But the other big thing that I think people forget from this whole work from home thing, people should work from home, is that most jobs cannot be done from home. If you're a plumber, you can't work from home. If you're a traffic warden, you can't work from home. If you're a car mechanic and you need all your kit, garage, everything, you can't work from home. If you can work from home, I get why you might think about it, but most jobs cannot be done from home. I guess it's a two-part answer to it. If you can work from home in your particular job, should you work from home at this particular point? In my opinion, no. Because at the point of filming this video, the amount of cases we've got in the UK realistically that have been tested for are probably only about 1,000 or so. Realistically, it's probably 10 times, maybe 20 times that amount. But even then, you're looking at 20,000 people. The UK currently has a population of 66 million. So realistically, it's still at the stage where there is no one that I know, first, second or third hand, in a social group, family group, whatever, that has coronavirus or has tested positive coronavirus or has even shown symptoms of coronavirus. So the reality is that most people are in a position that they don't even know anybody through friends of friends of friends who have coronavirus. It's way too early to start going, I'm going to work from home. There is also the other bit where you might have noticed in the budget, the government have said we will give companies the right where we will repay them if their staff choose to go off sick with coronavirus for up to 2 weeks. Basically what they'll do is they'll reimburse the company to pay you statutory sick leave. But statutory sick leave is, I believe, £94.25 a week. It's about £2.35 an hour on a 40-hour contract per week. Now, if like me, £2.35 isn't something you can really live on, you are in a position like most people where that ain't going to pay your bills. If you go off sick now, the government are only going to cover you for 2 weeks worth, and in 2 weeks' time, they're still, which is realistically that they're not going to force people to go home, then you just use all your sick pay and you're out of money. And your sick pay itself, most companies don't pay sick pay, bear in mind, or don't have a sick pay policy. It will just be statutory sick pay. You're probably not going to be able to live on much. So unless you have to go home, unless you've got symptoms, or unless someone's got work in your workplace has symptoms, probably at this point it's too early to be working from home. The second question is, will my employer protect me or protect profits? So I have heard a few people critical of their current employer saying, well, they're only going to look out for themselves, not going to look out for me, they don't care about me, whatever. And it's easy to kind of think that in a bit of a crisis situation. We're seeing people panic buying, loo roll, hand sanitizer, constant media about it. Every conversation you seem to overhear in the street, cafes, restaurants, anything like that, bars, everyone's talking about it. So it's quite easy to all of a sudden think, well, why is my employer not saying you can go home? The first thing you've got to remember is, as a business, they have to operate. At this particular point, there are too few cases in the UK really to warrant an employer going, stay at home. If they wanted to say, we're going to voluntarily close down until this thing blows over, most companies will either go out of business or lose so much money where they'll probably have to make people redundant, such as yourself. So it's too early for them to take such drastic action. Most companies will have disaster recovery plans in place, and they will have measures in place to protect employees, but when it comes to that point, they will take action on it. At this particular point, unless your company has a bunch of people showing symptoms, having signs, unless they're forcing you to come into work, bullying their staff or whatever, which is probably a company you want to leave if it's like that kind of environment. Most companies, rationally speaking, are just in a position where it's too early to start going to those stages. So they're following government advice. They understand that the cases are too low. Business as usual for the meantime. They'll try and have disaster recovery plans in place to protect employees as and when it comes to that. Next question. My job involves a lot of travel, meeting lots of people. What should I do? So if your role is traveling around, meeting loads of people, and you're going to come into contact with loads of people, you are at higher risk. There is no getting around that. The more people you meet, the more environments you're in. Certainly if it's large gatherings, yeah, you're exposed. I'll be honest with you. However, at this particular point, with about 20,000 cases in the UK, with a population of 66 million, the chance of you actually coming across someone with coronavirus or who's contagious with coronavirus is very, very low. It's just unlikely. That will change in the coming couple of weeks, okay? So realistic at this point, you probably want to carry on as usual. I understand you might be in a position where you think, I don't feel comfortable with that. You have to weigh up the level of risk and the level of chance you have of catching coronavirus at this particular point, or COVID-19, is very, very low. I'm talking 0.00 something, okay? So you're very unlikely. So although it might be scary, it might be a bit of a risk, realistically, if you don't go around and do that, you hinder your income, and if they do a lockdown, that could go on for a while longer. So you have to balance up the risk. At the moment, the risk is low. My personal advice, I would probably carry on as usual. That's a government advice, chief medical examiner. They're saying carry on as usual. And the amount of cases we've got in the UK, it's just unlikely. That will change in a couple of weeks, I'd imagine, 2-3 weeks. They're talking about it's going to be entering the peak, and at that particular point, you may not be able to do that. They may do lockdowns, for example. So at this particular point, until that happens, I understand you're worried. My best advice, in my opinion, would be just to continue as normal, because the chances are so limited. Unless you have underlying health conditions, unless you're at high risk, I probably would just continue as normal. My earnings are heavily dependent on overtime, commissions, or bonuses. And if I am self-isolated and have no symptoms, I will be out of pocket. What should I do? If you are in that position, you have to bear in mind two factors. There's 66 million people living in the UK. So the chance of you having COVID-19 or being at risk in COVID-19 imminently today are very, very low. That will change over the coming 2-3 weeks, okay? If you therefore go, well, I'm not going to do that, and you're going to miss out on overtime voluntarily, and they do a lockdown, and when they do a lockdown, that could be for 2 weeks, and that might be in, let's say, 2-3 weeks' time. If you're having time off now, and you go, right, I'm not going to meet anyone, then you've got to think in 2-3 weeks' time, and they do lockdown, then you're not going to be able to meet anyone. You could be having a month or 5 weeks out of work. And even after that point, they may restrict meetings, stuff like that, restrict the amount of overtime you're having, because their supply chains will be limited. So you've got to bear in mind, if you start going, I'm going to have time off now, I'm going to self-isolate, things like that, without any symptoms, you've got to think your own earnings. It's unlikely you're going to get it, and you're going to severely hit your earnings. If you can afford to do that, then okay. If you can't afford to do it, It's not, I wouldn't say you're taking enormous risk at this particular point of still going to work and still doing meetings. You do have some risk if you have underlying health conditions, bear in mind it's high risk, but realistically you're unlikely to get it at this particular point. You're more likely to get a common cold at this particular point than the coronavirus. So you do need to bear that in mind. It's up to you, but I would probably say it's too early. Second thing you've got to think about on that point is your customer base. Customers at this particular point are reducing the amount of meetings. Certainly, you will have certain companies cautious of setting up meetings and things like that, cautious of making orders. So your overtime, your commission, your bonuses may start dwindling now anyway, and they're going to tail off fairly abruptly in the next couple of weeks or so. So my best advice, if it was me, I'd probably keep going, earn what you can while you can, stock up, hold the money, and then protect yourself when it does actually hit. At the moment, it's kind of that before the storm hits stage. So take it as you will, but I would probably continue on and earn the money while you can, because the risk is very low. Look, there's likely going to be other questions that you guys have. Bear in mind, I'm an employer, we have employees, so I have to think about my staff, but we also have to think about ourselves, because just being an employer doesn't mean you're immune or anything like that. And we're a recruitment business. So we're in the middle of clients that are asking us for advice. So if you have questions, it would be good to get to know what they are so we can get that information. We can source that information. We're probably looking to do a follow-up video if the right sort of questions, if there is interest in the video, just so we can get that information out to you. I don't see enough information on how it's going to affect employees, or how it's going to affect employees, sorry. So I want to get more information out there for you guys to help people. We want to know ourselves, we can give better advice to clients as well, and we can give better advice to you. So if you've got any questions, do put them in the comments box below. Again, if you like the video, click the like to the video, and subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss any one of our forthcoming videos.